Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about quite a bit. We're going to be going over the most recent Nintendo Direct. We also have to catch up on a few things from SGF and Xbox Showcase. We got some trailers to go over in our news segment as well. And we've got our typical On the Horizon segment, which is where we're going to start.
On the horizon.
First up, we have My Adventures with Superman, which is returning on Saturday, June 13th to Adult Swim, and then on HBO Max the next day. Never Change. It's a movie, it's a comedy. We talked about it, I think, last week, about a group of adults finishing their last year of high school after a tornado destroyed their high school on their senior year. That is coming on Wednesday, June 17th to Hulu. The Simpsons is airing the first of its streaming-only episodes on Wednesday, June 17th on Disney+. Denshattack comes out on Wednesday, June 17th on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. I Will Find You, the limited series from Harlan Coben, is coming on Thursday, June 18th to Netflix. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, is also coming on Thursday, June 18th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. R-Type Tactics 1 and 2 Cosmos is coming on Thursday, June 18th to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch, and Switch 2. Sugar Season 2 is a series starring Colin Farrell, is coming on Friday, June 19th to Apple TV. Toy Story 5 is hitting theaters on Friday, June 19th, as is The Death of Robin Hood, also coming on Friday, June 19th to theaters. That is it for our On the Horizon segment. Now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat is our news segment. This week we're going to go over 3 trailers, and then we're going to go over 2 announcements / trailers / stories related to SDF, and then 2 also related to the Xbox Showcase. We're going to start things off with the trailers. We got a second trailer. The first trailer was just kind of a teaser for Ice Cream Man, the new Eli Roth movie, which is just straight gonzo horror in the vein of Terrifier.
Oh yeah, definitely in the vein of Terrifier. Yeah, it seems to be about some demonic ice cream man who poisons the children and sets them loose on the unsuspecting townsfolk, who they proceed to brutally murder in the most gory of fashions.
Yeah, playing like tetherball with a head, cutting off like her mom's head while she's sleeping.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get the picture.
It's very gory, very graphic trailer, very Red Band trailer.
very Eli Roth.
Yes.
I will say, yes. It's definitely, you can't mistake this
to
be anybody else's style.
If you want a Terrifier-esque gonzo gory horror film, very exploitative gory horror film, this will be your cup of tea. It looks like this one's
going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
Next, we got the first full trailer for the Dog Stars. We had a teaser before, and we had it on our list of things to possibly discuss, but we kind of turned it down because there just wasn't that much to go by from that teaser. But now we've got a full trailer for it. What did you think of the Dog Stars trailer?
I thought it was excellent. The picture of post-apocalypse where a handful of survivors are trying to survive against a horde of Mad Max style survivors who are trying to kill them. It's an interesting setup.
This one's got Josh Brolin, Jacob Elordi. It's being directed by Ridley Scott. Looks good, and it has 9 Inch Nails in the trailer, so can't go wrong with that.
Right.
And then our last trailer was for Whale Fall. This was more of a teaser. It's almost entirely just a scene, basically. There's a few cuts at the beginning, and then it's just a long scene for the rest of it. I believe this was what was shown at CinemaCon. It got a lot of attention. This is basically a survival movie in which a guy gets swallowed by a whale and then has to try to survive and get out of that situation. Apparently, I read up on it. The story is that the guy is relying on the advice that his father gave him to survive. His father recently passed and his body is in the ocean, and that's why he was in the ocean, trying to retrieve his father's body when he was swallowed by the whale.
Right, oh yeah.
So just very kind of tense survival movie. It's pretty much going to take place entirely with just the one guy trying to survive inside of a whale, trying to Geppetto his way out of there.
Yeah, it sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, this isn't going to be like the whale scene from One Piece Season 2. This is going to be more like that, what was that movie with James Franco where he was like rock climbing and got stuck between the two rocks and had to like cut his arm off?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
This feels more like that. So those are our trailers / teasers. Next, we're going to be talking about Summer Games Fest. So there was a lot shown at Summer Game Fest. We're focusing on Nintendo today, but we felt it was right to kind of go over some of the big players. And so I think we're pretty much going with the game that I believe opened the show and the game that ended the show.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Summer Games Fest did what none of these other conferences did, which is they opened on a big game and they ended on a big game, which is kind of crazy. We got the reveal of Resident Evil Veronica, which is the latest entry in the Resident Evil franchise. It's a remake of Code Veronica. Looked insane. It's coming to every platform, including the Switch 2, on the same day.
Can't believe it's hitting the Atari 2600. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to get the Atari 2600 version.
Yeah.
This is really cool. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil Code Veronica. It gets maligned a lot by the fans because, like, it's not the most tightly designed Resident Evil game. And the story is, like, corny and it's got, like, this annoying guy in it, Steve. I don't know. I found it entertaining. I think I was, like, a little biased because I was a Resident Evil fan. And when Code Veronica came out, it was exclusive to the Sega Dreamcast. And I was, like, fanboying over the Dreamcast. So I was kind of like, oh, yeah, this game's amazing. And it was also, like, the first next-gen Resident Evil game, right? It was on the Dreamcast. It wasn't on the PlayStation. So.
Yeah, the first time they did, like, a big step up.
Yeah.
This is also, it's a remake. This isn't like, you know.
Yeah, this
isn't a remaster. This is a remake. So
it's full
a lot
remake
of the issues could be addressed.
Clearly they changed a few things because, like, the trailer opens a scene where you're visiting a hotel or a hostel and you're talking to this old woman. And that wasn't in the original game. That old woman in that hotel definitely wasn't in the original game. So already, like, there's new content added.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting playing through that. Interesting, this did not show up again at the Nintendo Direct, despite being a Switch 2 game.
Yeah. There were a few games that were revealed for Switch 2 that
there are a lot
ended up showing at the Direct.
Yeah, there are a lot of Switch 2 games that were announced over like last week that were not mentioned or shown at the Direct. So like
one really notable one I want to bring up that wasn't at any of these shows. It was just it was at the shows but not for Switch 2. But they announced Monster Hunter Wilds is coming to Switch 2, and that was just like an offhand tweet.
Oh yeah, that wasn't even at the show because they announced like
they showed like the DLC
expansion.
or whatever, the expansion.
The expansion, but they didn't mention Switch 2 as a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently, like in a video or something, they announced the Switch 2 version of Monster Hunter Wilds is in development.
Which is such a weird, abrupt, kind of low-key way of announcing that. It didn't show up in a Nintendo Direct. It was wasn't mentioned Switch 2 as a platform there. It's like, okay, I guess.
It must be like really early in development or something. I don't know.
As we'll find out later, just pretty much everything Capcom's making is coming to Switch 2. So.
Oh yeah, Capcom is like throwing their full support behind the Switch 2, which is, we hadn't seen that level of commitment since the SNES.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Like, it's crazy. Capcom and Square are the two MVPs because they're both throwing their full support behind Switch 2 now.
Speaking of Square.
Yeah, speaking of Square, because we opened on Capcom, we ended on Square. We got the first trailer for Final Fantasy VII Revelation.
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 Pay attention to the naming convention of that series.
No. It's
Remake, Rebirth,
it's Revelation, and that's going to become relevant later on. So if I say Revelation, it will not be relevant. So it's Revelation. These things have purpose. Go with the flow.
I disagree. It must be called Revelation to follow the naming convention of the previous two entries.
But this is the third chapter of the Final Fantasy VII
Third and
remake
final.
trilogy. Yes. It's a trilogy.
Although the director did say that he'd be open to making DLC if it was in demand.
Right, but
Which
DLC...
would be like continuing beyond Final Fantasy VII, I guess.
Right.
Or doing a side story, I don't know.
I don't know, but for all intents and purposes, this is the conclusion to the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
People have been waiting for this for ages. It was rumored that this was going to be announced because they just released the second chapter, Rebirth, on Xbox and Switch 2. And the rumor was, they were waiting to release it on the rest of the platforms before.
Yeah. And so now this third entry is going to be, I believe, day and date on all platforms.
Yeah.
So another big win for Switch 2, but also Xbox, I guess, which didn't have the series before, got it at the same time that Switch got the games. But that is Final Fantasy VII Revelation and the STF showing. Then we have the Xbox Showcase, which I guess is technically also part of STF, but they kind of had that as a subtitle, I guess. But we're going to talk about two games from here. There was a few other things that were interesting, but I think the Xbox Showcase was significantly better than STF. And I think it might have been better than the State of Play as well for Sony's one. But we're going to talk about two games specifically that go into Microsoft's new strategy of going back to exclusives.
Right. Oh, yes. That is the big news for this week is, Microsoft is going back to exclusives with two games. And Gears of War was a pretty big one. Apparently, this was set to be announced for PS5 until like the last minute when it was pulled.
Mm-hmm. And then it was announced that it's going to be an Xbox exclusive. They had a long opening to the show for Gears of War E-Day and showed a lot of footage, showed how a certain character gets a certain scar. Yeah, this is the prequel to Gears of War, right? This is like showing...
Yeah, it's called Gears of War E-Day. And what E-Day is referring to is Emergence Day, which is in Gears of War lore, is the day the Locust, the main enemy of the Gears of War games that you fight, E-Day is the day they first appeared, or they first became like known to humanity. And so you're kind of like, you're starting this, and unlike other Gears games, it's like these things are coming, and your character doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
They're not in any armor.
Yeah, they're not in any armor. So that's going to be interesting from like a narrative and gameplay perspective, which is like hopefully, and it looked kind of intense from like the gameplay. Like hopefully they lean into the more like survival horror aspect to that scenario where like you're not fully prepared for what you're facing, where like in the other games you clearly are. You clearly like you know what you're fighting. In this game you're not supposed to. So like hopefully they lean into that.
So the other game we're going to talk about from the Xbox Showcase was one of your favorite games from I think either last year's STF or one of the other events, and that was Clockwork Revolution, which is just a very cool looking game that has now fallen into being the second game that Microsoft is declaring as an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, this is kind of a strange game to make exclusive. Don't get me wrong, it looks high quality, it looks fantastic. I'm going to be buying this game, for sure. But it's a new IP, it's from like a smaller like studio, like In Exile. There's no brand attached to this, there's no history attached to it, so it's kind of like Microsoft might be saying this to die by making an exclusive.
Yeah.
I have no clue how well that this is like actually going to do.
I mean, Microsoft started as, they didn't always port their stuff over there. That was like a surprise when that happened. That they were all of a sudden going, we're bringing stuff to other systems. And unfortunately, that came after we got some other games that basically were sent to their death, like Lost Odyssey, which is one that I really want to play, but was basically sent to its death.
To its Xbox exclusive.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the whole exclusivity thing is like so weird to me that they're doing it right now because what's two games supposed to do, realistically? Yeah. Are you going to buy a system for two games? If Nintendo said, Zelda Ocarina of Time, that's multi-platform, you're going to get that on every other platform, and fucking Splatoon is multi-platform, Mario's multi-platform, Zelda and Mario are going to be on every system, but like Splatoon and Kirby, those are going to be only on Switch. It's only those two games.
I think we know what's really going on. There's a change of leadership at Xbox.
Yeah.
This change of leadership did not like the direction of going multi-platform. But as they were going multi-platform, Microsoft did a lot of purchases that just barely scraped by antitrust accusations. organizations. Yeah. And the reason they were able to skate by is because they had this promise of going wider. We mentioned, when Call of Duty was announced for the Switch 2 version of a Call of Duty game that's going to be day and date and it's going to have parity with the other versions, and how that was part of a contract they signed with Nintendo in order to get through regulations, allow Microsoft to buy
It's
Activision.
a 10-year contract, too. So, they're committed to that for 10 years.
But this is clearly showing that, these are the two games that are being made exclusive. They're not going to be the last two games, and it's probably going to be a general slide. And I imagine in 10 years, Call of Duty is going to be exclusive if Xbox is even still a brand at that point.
Yeah, if Xbox is still a brand at that point. If they still own Call of Duty, if they haven't, sold off Activision or something just to offload some weight or get some quick money back, I do expect going forward more and more games are going to be announced as exclusives. But it's kind of, to me, it feels weird to show a trailer for a new Gears of War and then, come out and say, oh, it's Xbox exclusive. We got exclusives back. And then the very next trailer is Halo, on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It just comes across as, confused. They don't know what they're doing.
I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's that they probably already had a pretty clear contract for that game, and they couldn't pull it. And I think the thing is that this is not they're gonna play, what they're saying is, we're gonna kind of play it by ear, which games are exclusive. That's not gonna be the case. They're going to slide things into exclusivity again. That's the goal of this new administration in this company, is to move back to being exclusive like they used to.
They want to be a platform holder. They want to sell Xbox consoles again.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, but to do that, everything.
But they made a bunch of monopolistic purchases on the promise that they weren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of screwed themselves over with the whole Activision thing, because that's what forced them to do this whole multi-platform thing.
It wasn't just that, because they were moving multi-platform around the time they were doing even, I believe, the Bethesda acquisition. They were starting to flirt with it then.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole thing there was Bethesda already had contracts in place, and they said, well, there's contracts, we gotta honor that. But, the new games coming out are going to be exclusive, and then that's where it started, because that was the start of the slide, where they were initially oh yeah, well, there are some contracts in place we gotta honor, but outside of those contracts, things are going to be exclusive or on a case-by-case basis. And then that's where that backwards slide kind of started.
So my perspective on all of this is coming from somebody who has never owned an Xbox system, has no intention to ever buy an Xbox system, and who all of the major games in play right now, except for a few, I have just no interest in anyways. I'm sad about Clockwork Revolution. I was hoping that game would get announced for Switch 2. I'm that would be a cool one to have on Switch 2 if it has the chance. So I'm sad about that one. A bunch of the other stuff, including stuff that is coming to Switch 2, I just don't care about at all. But they did do some very monopolistic spending, and it doesn't seem right now that they're very obviously making a backslide into exclusivity again after doing that. But it's new leadership. There's some kind of shakeup. There's some controversy behind the scenes that's not really being talked about, but everybody realizes there's some controversy going on behind the scenes with some of the leadership shakeup that happened at Xbox. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of infuriating, I think, the situation. Thankfully for me, it doesn't have that much of an effect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't affect me. I got Xbox. I can play Gears. I can play Clockwork Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Those games are also on PC, by the way. So if you have a good PC, you can still play those games.
Yeah.
So
I just mean from the principle of it, it's kind of infuriating.
Right. But for me, personally, it's just when I analyze, when I think about what they're doing, it's confused. It's either you're a third-party publisher and you're making games for every system, or you want to be a platform holder, but you gotta be all in. If you want to be a platform holder, if you want to sell Xboxes, then all your games gotta be exclusive.
Yeah.
That's the way you sell systems.
But they can't do that anymore because of their monopolistic practices, they should have never been able to acquire those companies in the first place. There was a lot of hesitance against it. The one silver lining to it was their whole kind of multi-platform angle, and now that seems to be going the way of the dodo. So it's just okay, yeah, all the fears that seemed to not be consequential at the time seem to actually be coming into play now, which is unfortunate, from the principal standpoint. Like I said, for you want some of these games, you have an Xbox, doesn't matter. For me, I'm missing maybe one game that I maybe would have gotten. Otherwise, I just don't have any interest. So I'm not really all that affected. But from the perspective of the tactics, the monopolistic tactics, and where they are now and the weird shakeup in leadership, it's just kind of ugly.
Yeah, I agree. It's very ugly. I mean, there was a report that came out from Bloomberg just like a couple hours ago, and then they posted it. Then Xbox officially posted a memo, which painted a pretty dire picture of things, including layoffs. It's bad. I think that's its own damn podcast. So, I think we should move on at this point.
Yeah. I was just about to. That ends our news segment. The rest of the stuff we're covering today in the podcast is all news, but we're kind of doing it under a different segment because we're talking about Nintendo stuff. And we're going to start things off with the fact that the Switch 2 has now been out for 1 year. So we're just going to do a quick checkup on what's going down with the Switch 2 a year in. And so let's get started with that. So, first off, what would you say is your favorite Switch 2 exclusive that's out right now?
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I would agree. I think that is almost universally considered the best.
Yes.
There's Mario Kart World is really good and everything, but Donkey Kong Bonanza is the standout game. It's the one you recommend to people getting a Switch 2.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the game I would recommend the most.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody looking for a Switch 2.
How about outside of exclusive? We're talking, it could be a port, it could also be a Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
That's a harder conversation because there's so many games that are actually, if we're talking about multi-platform games, there are actually a lot of games on the system right now.
Mm-hmm.
I say for me, either Pragmata or Resident Evil Requiem are solid choices.
It's Pragmata for me, I believe.
I would say Pragmata probably. Pragmata is probably one of my favorite games of the year already.
I mean, speaking officially, my favorite game of all time is Breath of the Wild. So I guess my favorite, if you count Nintendo Switch 2 editions, is Breath of the Wild. But
right.
I don't really have any intention of going back to that anytime soon. I only kind of checked it out just to see how it ran. That's all I really did.
I'm just I'm just thinking about new games that just came out.
Yeah.
Within the year the Switch has been out.
Or just has significantly new stuff Kirby has a whole other campaign,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the gimmicks. So every Nintendo system launches with a bunch of gimmicks. Switch 2 is no exception. There's no exception, yes. Switch 2 is no exception to that rule. Let's go over some of the new features of the Switch 2, and you can tell me, and I'll add into if you've used these at all, how you feel about them, and if you feel like you're going to use them moving forward. We're going to start out with the mouse con. So this is, you put the Joy-Con, you take it off the system, put it sideways, it's a mouse. Have you ever used this feature?
No.
I've used it, but only in some of the demos in Welcome Tour.
I know, Welcome Tour. I know there's some games that support it. I know they got Mario Pay. I just haven't played a game that, I have, actually, but I haven't found, a reason to use it.
Yeah. How do you feel about this function?
I think it's a neat function. I think it's definitely, useful in certain situations. I don't know, how often, but there are games like Civilization that can benefit from a mouse mode.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it has practical applications. So I think it's a cool additive mode, but I just haven't encountered a situation where I was I could use it. I know Metroid Prime 4, you can use it for aiming, so that's really cool. In first person games like that, that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good feature. I just haven't used it.
Do you have any intention of using it moving forward?
Yeah, I'll use it if the game calls for it.
I think we're in an interesting spot because we're opposites as far as how we play the Switch 2. You play pretty much exclusively in handheld. I play pretty much exclusively docked. I think neither one of those really works well for using a mouse con, because if you're playing in handheld mode, it doesn't really work, And if you're playing docked, you want to use a pro controller, you're sitting on a couch. You don't necessarily want to be over a desk or something. I think mouse con kind of works best for the third option, the desktop mode. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to use this, but I could see myself using it for something like, say, a Mario Maker game or something where I'd use it for that, and then I'd put the Joy-Con back on the system to play the levels,
Oh yeah, if they announced Mario Maker 3, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of waiting. I don't have any intention of using it in the future, but if they show something that makes a good use of it, then sure. How about the camera? So the camera isn't on the system, but you can hook up a camera. You can even hook up pretty much any webcam, any USB webcam you can hook up to the system. Some of them will work, some will work kind of weird, but it pretty much works with the major webcams, but you can also use the Nintendo branded one. There's a Piranha Plant one that was made by another company that's very low resolution. Yeah, have you used the camera function at all?
No.
I have not either. I've never even hooked up a camera to it of any kind.
I've never hooked up a camera to my Switch again. It's just I just haven't found the need to.
Do you think you're gonna have any use for this in the future?
No.
I think about the same. They would have to do something really interesting for me to kind of change my mind. Maybe if they made like a WarioWare game based all around that, maybe then I'd just get like a webcam and just hook it up to it.
Right.
I think I have an extra webcam line.
I can see that like being used. I mean, it is used like in games too, like the Mario Party DLC uses it, but like I don't play Mario Party, so.
You're not going to use it for Star Fox for that whole avatar mode?
Oh yeah, no, I don't care about that.
So speaking of that, Game Chat is the next feature. Have you used Game Chat at all?
No. If I played online with people, I probably would.
Yeah, that's going to be one that might come up with like Splatoon or something, you know? But right now, I haven't, I think I tested it out just to see if it worked. I didn't even talk to anybody. I just like opened it up, set it up, and that was pretty much it. I'm like, okay. Apparently you can do some weird stuff, like there's some performance issues on all the Capcom games on Switch 2. But if you open up Game Chat, it takes up part of the window, so it shrinks the screen, and the RE engine will actually scale down the resolution with that shrink, and so the games actually run at a higher frame rate. It's just kind of like almost unintended weird benefit that you can get by using Game Chat when you're playing like Resident Evil Requiem or Pragmata or something. I just thought that. But I haven't used it really. I've set it up but never used it. And then the last new feature, and this is on Switch 1 as well, but it got announced for and released on Switch 1 like right before the Switch 2 was like revealed. And it's primarily a Switch 2 feature. It's just they rolled it out for Switch 1 as well. And that is Game Share.
I have not used Game Share.
I have not as all. It's streaming. It's game streaming, oddly enough.
I'm not going to Game Share with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so funny that it is game streaming, though. Game streaming's kind of been dying out, but this is like locally hosted game streaming.
Yeah, it's just like locally hosted streaming. It makes sense because if you have a friend or something with you, they only have a Switch 1, the streaming allows you to, like, let them play, like, Switch 2 games with you, like, on their Switch. Like, it's a really smart idea.
You have any intention of using this in the future?
I mean, no.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know. I mean, I look at certain things, like I look at a game like Orbitals, for example, and I think, like, I might want to try that game out, but I'm not going to buy it. I don't think I'll have the opportunity to really play that whole game and like that, but maybe somebody on Game Witness will pick it up and they'll want to play it and I'll be free and maybe I'll let them share it to me on Game Share because you can stream online with some of these games. Not all of them, but some of them, and Orbitals is one. So I'm thinking I might end up trying it out at some point, but I don't really have any plans to at this point. And then that gets through the gimmicks. So the last thing to talk about with the 1 year of Nintendo Switch 2 is kind of your general impressions of the system so far. You can give it a grade or a score if you want, but what are kind of your general impressions of the Switch 2 1 year in?
I think it's solid hardware. I like that the Switch 2, like, it feels more substantial in the hand than the Switch 1. It's not as light as the Switch 1, but, like, it's not, like, overly heavy or burdensome. It's just, it feels substantial. Other than that, it's basically just a Switch for all intents and purposes. Like, they didn't, like, really change anything up. It's just that the hardware inside is upgraded. It can run games with, like, better visuals and stuff, you know? So it's kind of like... it kind
of feels like an SNES.
Yeah.
It gives me a similar feeling to the SNES, because it is, like, a notable improvement up from the NES.
Oh, yeah.
And it was coming from a place where Switch was, like... I mean, NES didn't really have competition back in its day, but it's coming from that standpoint of, like, oh, I remember towards the end of the NES generation, just games felt very limited. And then the SNES came out and it was like, oh, man, this is so cool. It's like the NES, but more, you know, and it ended up being like probably my favorite platform for a really long time. And I think
for sure.
I think Switch 2 kind of feels like that. And part of that we're going to get into on our next topic. When we finish the topic, I'm going to bring something up about third-party support, and part of that is how that connects to it. But I'll save that for later when we talk about our next topic, which we're going to start now, but I'll get to that part at the end of the topic. We had a Nintendo Direct, finally.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Been
What?
since September.
I thought they weren't doing those anymore. I thought they were just like dropping like announcements on
Shadow dropping on Nintendo today.
Nintendo Day at 6 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
We got a Direct. We got a long Direct.
50 minutes. The rumors were true. They dropped it the Tuesday after all the other game announcements.
Mm-hmm. They kind of had this week to
happy
themselves.
Yes. Yeah, they did because Microsoft went Sunday. So it's interesting because the way it used to be is Microsoft would go on Sunday and then Sony and some of the other publishers like Ubisoft would go on Monday and Nintendo would go on Tuesday. Well, only Nintendo and Microsoft stuck to that session for some reason, like Sony and like Jeff Keighley like went last week.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Oh, there's no E3 anymore. There's nothing that holds them.
No, it's Summer Games Fest now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like real E3. There's nothing that holds to it, but it is interesting that despite that Nintendo's still sticking to a schedule, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about like this Direct actually. Like
we're gonna run through this entire Direct. I know that sounds crazy because there was so much on, but some of the stuff we're just gonna go through very quickly because there isn't a lot to say about it.
I know, like you're really, really like dying to go in depth on Hello Kitty.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we're gonna breeze over really quickly and just kind of announce the games and if there's a release date attached to it. So the show opened up oddly enough with Rhythm Heaven Groove. It's coming out on July 2nd. This is very strange to me just because this is a game we already knew about. It's a Switch 1 game.
Yeah, but like there's a logic to it. Like, yeah, I know like they've opened previous Nintendo Directs on big games or whatever, and they didn't do that here. But there's also a logic to it. It's kind of like this is the only thing that was Nintendo Switch 1 only, and it's coming out fairly soon. It's coming out next month. So I kind of understand just getting the one Switch 1 game out of the way first. Just get it up front, get it out of the way, and then everything else is like Switch 2. Could also be on Switch, but everything else is going to be on Switch 2.
Yeah.
Which is like the way they framed it. They used to do this back in the day too with the Wii U Directs where they would be like, this is a section we're going to talk about 3DS games, and now we're going to talk about the Wii U games.
Yeah.
And it's like, they used to do that too, so like, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, there were some new games they showed off in Rhythm Heaven that looked like pretty fun. The game overall still is just like a quirky, fun, very Nintendo game.
Yes.
Along the lines of like a WarioWare, those two franchises.
It's definitely the same developers as WarioWare, for sure.
Yeah, those two franchises just go hand in hand in general.
Yes, they do.
They both have the same kind of weird sense of humor.
It's interesting that they added like apparently like an RPG mode.
Yeah.
And like
which
a
is way more complex
mode.
than anything we've seen in Rhythm Heaven. Rhythm Heaven's usually like a one-button game.
Yes. It's so that's like really interesting, and they also added like 4-player multiplayer. So it looks like they got a lot going on with this one. It looks like it's gonna be like a fun game.
Can't wait till they reveal it as the first game of the September Direct this year for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Yeah, but they did do a Nintendo Switch 2 edition for Tomodachi, so who knows?
Yeah, well, it'll be for both of those. Those will be the two games that are in the next game we got kind of started the trend of the show, which is the trend of the show is like, this is a very third-party dominant show.
Yeah, so this is actually like been controversial among like opinions I see, because I've been seeing like a lot of opinions that this was like a bad Direct or something, and they seem to be, oh, there were like too many third-party games like shown or whatever.
Let's get into the details of that at the end, because that's kind of something I want to talk about once we've finished it.
Okay.
But what was shown second was Onimusha, Way of the Sword.
This was not announced for Switch 2, by the way, by the time of this Direct.
But it's like the trilogy completed. The unofficial trilogy completed.
Well, it's like the 3 big games, like 4 big games like Capcom had for this year, because Capcom released Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, they had Monster Hunter Stories 3. All those came out on
big.
Switch
Monster Hunter Stories 3 isn't big.
It's from the Monster Hunter franchise. So, like, all 3 of those came out for Switch 2 already. And Onimusha, like, we knew was coming out this year from Capcom, but there was not a Switch 2 version announced.
Yeah, and we were hopeful it would happen, and it did. Capcom, as we've mentioned, is all in on Switch 2, and now we have our Elk Sim to join our Mom Sim and Dad Sim.
And we'll see that even more as we go into it.
This game is coming day and date, too, so that seems to be the other trend, is that not only is Capcom heavily supporting the Switch 2, but for new games coming out, they're day and date.
Yeah, we're getting more day and date games, which is good, because in the past, even when Nintendo got a third-party game, it was like always like well after the other versions came out.
Mm-hmm. With like probably not feature parity and all sorts of other issues. But that seems to be mostly addressed now. But we're going to get into that at the end of this because that's a big part of the discussion of the theme of this direct, in my opinion. Our next game is also from Capcom. This one's a port, but it's a port with additional functionality that's probably, I believe, has already been announced to be coming to the other versions of the game as well. But like this is where it was revealed. Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 was a game that initially came out in 2024. It was a long-awaited sequel to Dragon's Dogma. It got
notably a game with big performance issues, which don't seem to be in play from the footage they showed on Switch.
It was interesting because people were hoping that they would do a DLC expansion update like they did for the first Dragon's Dogma, which the update for Dragon's Dogma was called Dark Arisen, you know? So when they announced this as like Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen, it was like, oh, this isn't, they did the upgrade.
Yeah.
They actually are releasing the upgrade. Even more like significant because the game's director, Itsuno, no longer works for Capcom. He left Capcom a while back, like after he released this game.
Mm-hmm.
So like this was clearly done without him. So it is interesting. It's coming to Switch 2. Again, like Capcom is putting all their games on Switch 2 now. Like even like their back catalog games.
It's coming on October 9th. The next game just continues the trend of everything's coming to Switch 2. Remember there was the joke on Switch 1, just put everything on Switch 1, and a lot of games did come to Switch 1. A lot of games came to Switch 1. But a lot of games also just couldn't because it didn't have the feature parity in the hardware to pull it off. And some of the games that we did get, like Witcher 3 and stuff, are considered like impossible ports because they were so hard to get over. This is not happening with Switch 2. Like, it's almost everything's coming.
This is interesting, too, because this is Stellar Blade, and I wasn't expecting this. This is like a Bayonetta-style action game from a Korean company, Shift Up.
Oddly enough, a game that feels like it could be made by Capcom.
Yeah, oddly enough, a game. This was actually funded by Sony, and it was published by Sony on the PlayStation and PC. I think on PC, the publisher is PlayStation Publishing on PC. And in fact, the trailer even has Sony Interactive Entertainment Presents. So it's like, this was not released on Xbox. This was very much, the understanding was Sony paid for this game as an exclusive to their ecosystem. But it also came out recently that the Stellar Blade IP went back into Shift Up's ownership, which I thought like only applied to the sequel, which they announced at Summer Games Fest, the Blood Rain, which was not announced for Switch 2. But apparently, no, that applies to the first game now because the first game is on the Switch 2, which that was a surprise.
Coming this year. They didn't give any bigger detail on that, any like narrow it down, just 2026.
Yeah, but if
I just assume every game that says 2026 is coming in November.
Yeah, right. but we don't have like a Bayonetta Switch 2 announced at all. So like if you're looking for something to scratch a Bayonetta itch, I think like this will do the trick.
Yeah, we got another game that will also do the trick, but we'll get to that later. Orbitals. This was shown again.
Already announced at like a previous Nintendo Direct.
We got a date announced. September 3rd.
September 3rd.
September grows.
September grows.
It's gonna go down in history as like the most insane month in video game history, I think.
I think this is like a co-op only game.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
So you can't play this solo, unfortunately.
But you can play it on Game Share online. So you can stream it to somebody online and they can play.
Oh, you can game share it online? That's interesting.
Yes.
I mean, if I had somebody to play with, I'd probably play with it. It's the same thing as the EA games by that one guy.
Yeah, It Takes Two.
It Takes Two, like, it's like, yeah, I'd like to play those, but like, I need somebody to like actually play it with.
Maybe if it's on like a good sale sometime, maybe like one of us can pick it up and we can game share it and play.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I love the retro anime style.
Yeah, it's such a cool looking game.
Yes.
It's just that I don't really have many opportunities to play like a co-op game. And it's co-op only.
Same. So like, that was the big disappointment for me about it.
Yeah. Our next game, Rayman Legends Retold. This was already revealed. We talked about it from the PlayStation thing. I think we talked about it. Maybe
it was revealed in the PlayStation State of Play. It looks gorgeous. It's basically Rayman Legends with like a new graphical code of paint.
I think it's like
they
the
got some
fourth
new
or
content.
fifth Switch 2 game to have ray tracing too.
Oh yeah.
So that's like a little notable thing. Ubisoft, I think, is doing a lot of ray tracing on Switch 2. So that's interesting. But that's coming October 1st. We already kind of talked about, like I said, for the PlayStation thing, but nothing really new announced here. But we got to see the Switch 2 build and it looks exactly the same. Looks great.
Yep, looks fantastic.
Next we got Big Walk, which is coming on August 4th.
That looks like a really quirky indie game. I'm not too interested in it. It did look pretty funny though.
I'm not interested at all. This next one's kind of interesting, and there's kind of a trend, because there's two, usually in a Nintendo Direct, you have several anime license games. We had 2 anime license games in this Direct, but both of them were in like a weird style, like not like what you typically expect an anime license game to be like.
This one, like,
One Piece
this one
Grand
looked
Gourmet
like
is the first one, yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, this one looked like a mobile game. This one looked like a mobile game doing like the 2D pixel art
but it looks fun.
style. Yeah.
It looks fun, it looks cute, and it's got 400 characters from One Piece.
Yes, it does. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, they're doing like a restaurant game with One Piece IP? Like, okay, that's interesting.
I mean, like I said, we're going to get back to this. They did weird choices with anime license games in this track.
Yeah.
But that's coming on October 23rd.
Then we got like DLC and expansion for Pokopia. You could go underwater now.
This one doesn't really make sense to me because it said the free update's coming in August. When it showed the waves for the paid DLC, it says the first one's coming in August, the second one's coming in late 2026, and the last one's coming in 2027. But then it said the paid expansion pass is available today.
Yeah, so
you can buy it, but you don't get anything till August?
Right, yeah, exactly. And I mean, they've done this before. They did this with the DLC for the other Pokemon games where you could buy it, you got lock in your purchase, and then you get the content as it releases.
You think you'd get something day one, you know?
They usually give you like nominal items, like
an outfit.
I know, like, yeah, with Scarlet and Violet, like if you bought the DLC, you got exclusive outfits like day one or something, like on the day you bought it.
Pokopia is just not for me.
You don't like Dragon Quest Builders and Pokemon?
I don't care about Dragon Quest Builders, I don't care about Minecraft, and I don't care about Pokemon. It's like a triple hit for me.
I actually haven't played Pokopia, so I can't tell you anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear people really like it. It's just not for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
The next game is another one that joins the September Club, and that is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which got dated for September 17th. This game I'm hyped for.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% hyped for it. It's Fire Emblem.
We didn't learn too terribly much more.
No.
We kind of knew what it was about.
Introduced.
We got a little bit more details
we got
on
introduced to we got character introductions. We got introduced to like the main protagonists and stuff.
It looks like there's 4 this time instead of 3.
And they talked about some of the gameplay, like concepts and stuff. They went into the gameplay. So we got like a pretty decent amount, but like it's Fire Emblem. I already know what it is. I already know, like, I'm gonna buy it. I did pre-order it already. I pre-ordered the collector's edition, the Dang collection.
How much was that? Because I know the base physical edition's $80, which is causing people to like lose their minds.
It's $120. Yeah. People like, this is like the second like $80 game they put out, and like, people are like losing their minds over that.
To clarify, digital, it's still $70.
Yeah, it's $70 digital because Nintendo started a policy where like digital games are going to be $10 off from physical retail.
Mm-hmm.
So like Nintendo wants to give you a little bit of a discount if you're buying digitally. But an interesting thing here is recently, like since they implemented that, Amazon and Walmart.com have been price matching the digital. So like, yeah, you could be mad Fire Emblem's 80, but like if you get it from Walmart or Amazon right now, they're gonna like sell to you for 70.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
plus,
to me, like,
Fire Emblem games are big. They're big games, man. They're feature dense, and there were 3 paths and 3 houses. It looks like there's 4 in Fortune's Weave. So basically, this game wants you to play it 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot of playtime out of it. For like the people who like to complain that like they spend too much money on games, they're too short. Well, this is gonna have like all the playtime to justify those $80.
Yeah. This is the kind of game that 1 playthrough you could go like 100 hours on. 4 playthroughs, yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of time in this if you want to, you know? So I'm not too concerned about it. I'm buying digital, so it's just 70 for me anyways. But I'm excited for that one, and it's coming September 17th, which is, again, like I said, another for the September Club.
Yeah, it's funny because last week or so, I responded to one of the guys from like BGP posted a list of games coming out in September. I kind of replied to the ones I was most interested in buying, and then I just said, knowing my luck, Fire Emblem's going to end up getting added to this list. And like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I jinxed it.
I think even before the Nintendo Direct, I was looking at what was coming out in September, and I'm like, there are like 6 Game of the Year contenders.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like that, like, oh, I played them and they're so good, and that's so I know their game. I mean, like, they have the height of a Game of the Year.
They have their potential Game of the Year contenders
Yeah.
because like they have the pedigree and stuff and the budget and everything behind it, and they're from like well-known franchises.
Yeah.
You know, or like they just like look
Previous
high
entries
quality.
that got Game of the Year, like Control Resonant, for example, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Next game got shown was Ninjala 2. Do you remember Ninjala 1 at all? I've been watching people reacting to this, and most people seem to not remember this game.
That was like an online, like, multiplayer game, I think.
It was kind of a Splatoon ripoff.
Yeah, it's kind of like Splatoon-esque. This is like a single-player adventure game.
It's got the multiplayer too, but it has a full single-player campaign.
Which is interesting. Like, I was never, like, interested in Ninjala. Apparently this is Switch 2 exclusive, or at least the timed exclusive, which is like, okay.
I played
weird
the demo
games to
for
make exclusive Nintendo.
I played the demo for Ninjala, like the first one, and I just really did not like the way it controlled and the way it played and its like multiplayer setup. I'm curious about how this works as like a single player game. It might actually be kind of interesting. I have zero interest in the multiplayer aspect of it, which is why I had no interest in the first Ninjala after playing the demo. But I'm a little curious on this one, but not too curious. And considering how much other stuff is coming out, like this is gonna slip through the cracks for me, even if it was something that would maybe pique my interest at some point.
Times some Ninjalas go slipping through the cracks.
Yeah. But it's coming out in spring. Next this was a rumored one. We knew that there was some kind of a weird NES remix style kind of game coming, like that was leaked, but it really wasn't described what it was. And here we got it, which is an NSO DK Challenge. It's a limited time event. It's only going to be available starting from the day of the Direct until September 1st.
See, this kind of disappointed me, because like when I heard like the data mine that they're adding challenges to Nintendo Switch Online, I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's going to be like really fun. And then they announced that it's like, oh, it's a limited time event. It's only till, and I'm like, that's lame.
Yeah.
So just add challenges. Make them permanent and let me do them whenever I want.
I imagine they're going to be shifting this. So it's going to be DK and then maybe they'll do Mario.
Oh yeah,
maybe they'll do Zelda, you know?
Yeah, they'll do more than just DK, but it's lame that they're limited time things. It's like not like a permanent, just you can do them anytime. It's like, it feels like, oh, I gotta rush to get these challenges completed when it would be, when I was picturing more of a thing. I open Nintendo Switch Online and I see, oh, Super Mario Bros. 3 has like these challenges associated with it. So I could go in and do those and have some extra fun with the game.
It does have some rewards. You get playing cards or like
you get playing
cards.
Yeah, which I like that. I think that's a fun idea. It's just, the whole idea of, oh, you only got till September 1st to do them.
Yeah.
That's annoying. That's when they made like Super Mario Run, or not Super Mario Run, but like the Super Mario
35,
a limited time thing. And now that's gone forever. It's like, okay, well, probably would have had more fun with that if it stuck around.
I'm mostly disappointed because when this game was rumored, when all the rumors were coming out about it, the thing that they kept referring to was like an NES remix style game. This is not like that. This is more like the World Championship game. Because the NES remix was all about like, oh, you could play this level of Mario, but you're using like Link or something.
Right. Well,
and
some of them were like that. Not like everything on NES remix was like that.
No, but that was a big part of what made it compelling and
it was
fun
like
and
something.
interesting.
Yeah, but like I wasn't like expecting that. That required, because that's like bespoke stuff developed just for like, this is just using the games as they exist, which is fine.
I want the real NES remix back. I was not happy with the World Championship game, and I'm not happy with this.
This wasn't like going to be that, ever.
That's unfortunate though. Like it would have been really cool if it was.
But the idea of adding challenges to the Nintendo Switch Online games that exist is like a really fun idea.
Yeah, and it's also cool that it's not just very retro games. There's the challenges from like Donkey Kong Bonanza. You have to have the game to play those because otherwise this app would just balloon in size.
Yes, if this was like, oh, we're going to give you like chunks of DK Bonanza, like, yeah, no, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, and the collectible cards thing is kind of cool. Like, that's kind of makes me think a little bit about like how Steam does it with achievements, where you can get those cards and then I know on Steam you can even like sell the cards and stuff.
Yeah, you could like sell it in the marketplace.
Yeah,
you get like no money because like your card is like worth like 3 cents.
Some of them are worth something, but like I sold some cards, some of them for like 25 cents and stuff, just because like I'm not going to use them.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So I got like a little bit of credit. Like basically took care of tax on a game for me one time, I think.
It's a cool idea. I did a couple of challenges like this morning. It's a fun idea. I mean, I just kind of like wish it wasn't time limited and like only focused on one game franchise. And like apparently they're going to be rotating different things. The way it's implemented is like not really like ideal in my opinion, but like I like the idea and the challenges are like fun.
I just want SNES remix. That's
I wish they would make that too, but they don't want to.
Keeping on the Donkey Kong train, Donkey Kong Bonanza DK Island Emerald Rush, which I do not have. I have Bonanza, but I do not have the DLC.
Yeah, I don't have the DLC. I don't really.
It's doing a Mario 40th anniversary collab that's got 4 waves. Wave 1 is from the day of the direct through June 30th. Wave 2 is July 14th through July 21st. Wave 3 is August 4th through August 11th. And Wave 4 is August 25th through September 1st. A lot of stuff ending on September 1st, if you've noticed. So I'm guessing they're going to reveal some replacements for this around September 1st. But yeah, this is basically just adding Mario items and stuff to the Emerald Rush, which is already something I wasn't interested in. So this didn't sell me on Emerald Rush anymore. I don't know about you.
No, I didn't. Not really. I don't care.
I love Bonanza. I just do not care about Emerald Rush at all. I mentioned before, we talked about how they're doing anime license games, but in a weird way. Well, here's the other one. Jujutsu Kaisen Rumble Survive-a-ton, which is just a funny name. That's coming in 2026, which, according to my new rule, means November. They can't release it any time outside of November. It has to be in November. This is Vampire Survivor, but with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. It looks like it's a multiplayer Vampire Survivor, which is like the new wrinkle.
Yeah.
Yes. That's interesting. I'm happy for Ponkel. It's crazy how like they're getting like these IPs and they're getting asked to make. They're the new Tecmo Koei now. They're the new like Dynasty Warriors. They're just kind of like be making Vampire Survivors with like every IP now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Vampire Survivors is a fun game, but yeah.
Next, we got a run of more games that we wouldn't have gotten on Switch 1. Comparably, but more games that point to the example of everything's coming to Switch 2. We got 3 in a row here. Lord of the Fallen 2, which is coming in fall. Crazy looking game. It's one of those ones that shocks people that it's coming to Switch 2. Lies of P Complete Edition. This was a very beloved Soulsborne, one of the few non-FromSoft Soulsbornes that's like pretty much universally beloved.
Oh yeah. I played a bit of it. It's really high quality.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did an excellent job of they copied FromSoft's homework with Bloodborne, and they really like nail the feeling of it too, which is crazy.
Yeah, this is the complete edition, and this is getting a split release, so it's coming on digital on August 6th, and then physical on October 2nd. Do you have any intention of rebuying?
You know what? It's funny because like, I think I'll buy the physical, because the physical is actually like on the cartridge for this. It's not a game key card.
Yeah, there's a surprising number of games that are coming on the cartridge. Like, it seems like third parties have kind of made a turn on that whole keycard thing a little bit. At least some of them.
Square is still like fully on the keycard.
Yeah. Square's gonna cut corners everywhere they can, you know?
Yeah. For even ridiculous things, which we will get to.
Yeah. But it is cool that that's starting to kind of pick up more and more that you're seeing this. And then lastly, Devil May Cry 5 Devil Hunter Edition. I believe we knew about this, but it wasn't like announced.
No, this was leaked through like ratings boards.
Mm-hmm.
So like we had an idea this was coming, but yeah, this was officially announced, confirmed. And again, it's more Capcom. Capcom bringing their back catalog to Switch 2.
Again, if you want your Bayonetta fix, Devil May Cry was like the original Bayonetta.
Yeah, Devil May Cry was, yeah. I mean, Bayonetta was like very clearly...
Bayonetta was a spiritual successor because...
Very clearly, oh yeah.
Because Kamiya, who created both of them, had left Capcom and wanted to make another Devil May Cry, so he made Bayonetta instead. It's kind of like, it was kind of a big business version of like Bloodstained. in the sense that Bloodstained is a Castlevania game, but it's not a Konami anymore, so he can't make a Castlevania game, so he made Bloodstained. And that's what this is, but for Devil May Cry. That's what Bayonetta was, I mean. But now we have Devil May Cry 5 Devil Hunter Edition coming on June 23rd. Yeah, this is a very well-liked entry in the franchise, too. This is, I think a lot of people say this is like the best entry in the franchise.
It's the last entry in the franchise. They haven't made a new one since.
But a lot of people have said this is the best entry in the franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a positive thing to look for. And it's coming very soon, June 23rd, this month.
Coming soon.
If you want your Bayonetta fix, you can go to the Bayonetta's grandfather. Next, this was a surprise. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Muramasa Rebirth.
Oh, I saw this coming. Oh, okay.
Muramasa Revenant Blades. This is a Wii game. They later ported it to, I believe, the Vita and added a bunch of like content to it. And this is basically we're getting the Vita version, but like, you know, at a higher resolution and stuff. Coming early 2027. I fucking loved Muramasa the Demon Blade on Wii. I didn't have a Vita. There's like, the game had 2 entire character paths you could play through with different stories. The Vita version added like 4 more, I think. So this is like basically, it's like if 3 houses had 2 houses and then they made a DLC pack and then it had 6 houses.
Yeah.
That's what this equivalent is. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Oh yeah.
I love the Muramasa game, so yeah.
The next, I don't want to like spend too much time on it. The Xenoblade series on Nintendo Switch are getting Switch 2 editions with some upgrades.
They added a bunch of like cool little things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go over like everything, but like took you long enough.
Yeah, but they're releasing them all just to get out of the way. The timing. The first one shadow dropped digitally. So you can get the upgrade or you could digital and it was shadow drop. Physical is coming on July 30th. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Digital is coming on July 30th. Physical on October 1st. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming on December 3rd to both physical and digital.
Yeah.
Then we got the new Xenoblade game, Xenoblade Genesis. This drops the Chronicles moniker. It doesn't have like a number against it. It's not Xenoblade Chronicles 4. Xenoblade Genesis. And it looks very different too. It's coming.
I guess it's like Genesis is. I think the idea is this is like a new beginning for the Xenoblade franchise.
Yeah, and it has like different character types. There's no Napone. Napones were like kind of the mascot character of this franchise. There was not a Napone in sight in this trailer. It looks much more fantasy oriented than the other games. The other games all had fantasy elements, but they were also very heavy sci-fi.
Yeah, like
there was one big sci-fi element in this game, but I think a lot of people didn't even notice it. Which is that this game is basically like Halo or like Gundam. You're like in some kind of a structure. You don't know exactly what it is, but it's either like some kind of satellite donut shaped structure.
I noticed that.
Or it's like the inside of a planet.
Yeah, you're inside of like some structure. Like you're not
on
like an open planet. Yeah.
Which is like a very sci-fi thing. That's, if you watch like Gundam series, like that's what the colonies all
you're
look
basically like you're
Halo
living in
looks like that, you know?
Basically you're living in a biome.
Yeah.
You know, like, a biodome.
But it's like an interesting contrast because this is way more fantasy than any Xenoblade game has been.
Yes.
Like leaning fantasy, and yet you're in this like biome structure kind of thing, and it is still a Xenoblade game, even though it's kind of a new beginning. So it's kind of like, okay, this is like a really weird contrast they're doing with the whole sci-fi fantasy thing that's always been kind of core to the franchise. It's kind of cool. Like I'm looking forward to it. It did look a little disappointing graphically for Molotow's first Switch 2 game. Especially some of the opening shots they showed. I'm like, oh, this, as I was watching it with a few people on Game Witness, and initially, like, the very first shot, I was like, oh, it looks beautiful. And then it started zooming in, and it was like, this is a Switch 1 game? And so they're making this on Switch 1 and Switch 2, and then it turned out, no, it's Switch 2 only. As the trailer went on, there were some shots that looked notably better than, like, a Switch 1 game could look, you know? But there were also quite a few parts that looked pretty dated for, like, Molotow's first Switch 2 game. But it's Xenoblade, so I'm gonna day one buy it.
Right.
In 2027.
And this was like, I think like the only real significant 2027 game announced too. Like everything else is pretty much this year.
Yeah, most of the stuff is this year. There's a few 2027, but they're nothing that big. Next, we got Switch Sports Resort. This was rumored. This was leaked by Nate the Hate, I believe.
Nate the Hate. This is a sequel to Switch Sports. It's the 4th sports game. They did Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. This brings back Woohoo Island, which is pretty funny because I saw a thread or something on Reset Era like last month where somebody was complaining about, oh, whatever happened to Woohoo Island? Nintendo like stopped mentioning it. It wasn't even in like the new Smash Brothers or anything. I guess Woohoo Island's dead. It's never coming back. Well, it's back.
So Switch Sports Resort is coming out on October 22nd. Here's the thing with Switch Sports Resort. Every Direct, Nintendo has like really good pacing. They kind of blast through, but there's almost always like one or two games where they just like, and it's never the game you want them to do it with.
What? You mean you didn't
want
want
an extra
to...
10 minutes on this game?
you didn't want to watch like
thumb wrestling for 10 minutes?
You didn't want to watch Koizumi thumb wrestle?
No, I did not. This could have been saved for the Treehouse. I don't know why they had this long segment of the thumb wrestling. It really slowed down the show. Nintendo always has like one or two moments like this, and this was one of them for sure.
Yeah, that was like an odd choice. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, very odd, but yeah, so that was Switch Sports Resort, thumb wrestling, they added skateboarding, they added, planes. I think they had planes in Wii Sports Resort, I believe.
Yeah, the next few, I'm just going to like rapid fire. They did RuneScape, Dragon Wilds, they did Hello Kitty.
It was like the fourth show. Hold on, RuneScape was like showing at every show in this game.
Yeah, that's why like I don't give it crap.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, they did Hello Kitty. They showed a new trailer for Star Fox.
By the way, RuneScape September 15th, Hello Kitty October 29th, Star Fox June 25th, and a demo is available today.
And then we got a brand new Final Fantasy game.
Kind of.
This one, well, it is Final Fantasy. It's Final Fantasy Resonance.
Kind of brand new.
Oh yeah, kind of brand new. Yeah, sort of brand new. Because this is, from what I understand, this is based off the mobile game Brave Exvius, but this isn't like a port of that game or anything. This is
it's taking the story, basically.
It's taking a story, yeah. This is like a remake or reimagining of Brave Exvius using the HD 2D engine. It's got traditional turn-based combat. It looks like an HD 2D game, which is gorgeous pixel art.
This one even more so than usual. They even have, there's like a bunch of cutscenes in this, but even the cutscenes are kind of pixelated looking, which makes them look really cool. It like makes the style kind of feel really cohesive. Except you get like characters from other Final Fantasy games, and those have fully CG openings when they pop in, and it looks nothing like it's not using that pixelated CG style or whatever, so it just feels like out of place.
Yeah, that looked weird.
This reminds me a lot of Octopath Traveler 0, which did the same thing. It was a reimagining of a mobile game, and there were good things about it. I actually really liked Octopath Traveler 0, but there were also things that just felt like out of place, like they just felt like off, and that seems to be the case here too.
I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this. Like, yeah,
I don't want that bringing characters from other Final Fantasy games as like weird spiritual guides that attack and have like CG cutscenes, or like if you took that out of the game, I think I'd be way more interested.
I'm a big fan of this, like taking like these mobile games that they've made and like, cause like there's
making something good out of them.
I'm removing like all the mobile game bullshit and like making them like real games. Like, yeah, I'm a fan of that. Like, I'll get this.
Yeah, I don't like the whole like bringing in characters from other games. That's like a very mobile game thing, and it clashes with the art style because, like I said, there are cutscenes in this game and they're all like pixelated looking and they look awesome. And then the cutscenes come in, like you get Cloud, and it's just like, oh wait, all of a sudden it's like footage from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or something. And it's like weird. It's like a weird.
Yeah, I was like kind of like, I hope that's something they just did for the trailer.
Apparently
like,
it's not. Like some people have played it and it is in the game.
Oh, that's kind of like off-putting, but like whatever.
Yeah, but that's coming out October 22nd. I was reluctant to get Octopath Traveler 0 because of the whole mobile thing, but I heard really good things about it, ended up getting it, ended up really liking it, so I'll almost certainly get Final Fantasy Resonance when it comes out on October 22nd.
Oh yeah.
Pikanuku 2, coming in 2027. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Withered World, coming December 3rd. This is the one that we saw the logo reveal, and remember we talked about it, and I was saying, it's so weird that they just showed fucking artwork logo, and that's it.
Logo. Yeah, that was
for a game coming this year. They announced it was coming this year, and they didn't show anything.
Why did they do that? I guess they were waiting for the Nintendo Direct to show like actual gameplay.
Which is kind of weird because what they showed wasn't particularly exciting, fresh or new.
What they showed was, yep, this is a Dragon Quest Monsters game.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's nothing that they showed that was really like, yeah, you gotta hold this off for the Direct.
Yeah, that was the whole, like, Dragon Quest Direct thing they did was, like, odd to begin with.
Yeah, very weird.
Like, it was kind of like, it was very much just all about Dragon Quest 12, and Dragon Quest Monsters was, like, an afterthought.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next weird thing in this Nintendo Direct, and that was...
Yeah, this got me.
Our second shot of Dustbloods, which is way shorter than most people thought it was going to be, and almost nothing new showing too.
We were expecting like the Dust Bloods to like pop back up because it's coming.
Get
out
a real
this year.
trailer.
Yeah, so I was expecting to go more in depth with it, maybe even like show some gameplay, explain the systems, explain what's going on. No, we got shorter and like even more vague trailer than like the game's reveal like last year.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like when the trailer like ended, I was just kind of like, that's it? That told us nothing.
Hey, well, it told us that there's going to be a closed network test in the summer.
They didn't even give it a date.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know like what month it's coming out.
The president of the parent company, not FromSoft, but the parent company of FromSoft.
Yeah, the manga publisher.
Said it was coming out this year, and that wasn't too long ago.
Well, yeah, we've known like it was 2020. It was announced as 2026.
Yeah, but a lot of people think it slipped because of like Elden Ring being delayed and stuff, but it sounds like it's still coming in 2026. They're doing a closed network test in summer, which means I'm guessing this is coming either October or December.
I think it's October or December.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, the idea because of Elden Ring, that makes no sense. It's an entirely different team is on the Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It would have like no effect.
Some people are worried about that though, and I understand that because it is kind of weird. Just based on
the Dust Bloods is like the A team and like this is Miyazaki's game. He's directing it.
Yeah.
So like this is the A team that's on this.
Yeah. If you have a problem.
Yeah.
And if you're available.
Call the A team. It's like the other team is doing Night Rain and the Miyazaki team is doing this.
Yeah. I'm just saying it is kind of weird timing wise, you know, but I think this is still coming out this year. I don't based on comments by the president of Katakawa, it sounds like it's still on for this year. Based on the fact that they're doing a closed network test, some people think that means then it's clearly not going to be out the next year. I'm like, no, you usually do closed network tests pretty close to release, like maybe a few months off. I think October sounds right for this game because it's spooky season and stuff. I almost feel more like this is going to be December though.
Yeah, I'm thinking this. Yeah, because everything now has a date, a specific date, at least to a month, except for this and one other game we're going to get to pretty soon. That, the fact that they won't even this far into the year, they still won't say the month makes me say, this is probably this is really late in the year.
Yeah. They'll do the network test and then they'll announce the official date probably in their September direct.
Yes.
Next up, we got Splatoon Raiders, which finally got its date. It's coming on July 3rd. There's going to be a Splatoon Raiders Direct on June 30th. They showed a bunch of stuff. It was one of the most boring segments of the Direct. It went on too long, much like the Wii Sports or the Switch Sports one, but this is a better game, at least, or more interesting game.
Splatoon Raiders looks like a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but I'm going to have a lot of fun with this.
I just don't think it demoed well on a Direct like that for that long. It's the kind of game you just just give me a demo or something. I don't really want to watch you're talking about this too much.
Fair enough.
Next, we got a little fake out, a little Pikmin fake out that turned out to be Deltarune.
Yep, Deltarune Chapter 5. That's cool. I don't play Deltarune, but it's cool for people looking forward to that.
Coming on June 24th. And then we got one of the ones I've been hotly anticipating, Metaphor ReFantasio. No special edition with extra content. This is just the straight game. November 12th. Yeah, I'm getting this. This is day one for me.
More RPG goodness. Minecraft Switch 2 edition is coming out in 2026. Then we got a sizzle reel. Sizzle!
Yeah, let me I'll run through some of these quickly. Atelier, Korea, The Dike Kingdom, and The Guide of Memories coming in early 2027. This is, long-running RPG franchise. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. This is kind of weird that it made a sizzle reel because this is an example of a game that would fit in with some of the other big third-party heavy hitters, Right. But it was dropped in the sizzle reel coming holiday 2026. Observer System Redux. This is a Blooper Team game, right? Like an old Blooper Team game.
Yeah.
Coming on June 18th. DayZ, because why not? It's 2026 vague, which means November. Like I said, that's the rule. They can't release it any other time. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 got dated with August 27th.
Yeah.
Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration today, or at the time of the Direct. Tales of Eternia Remastered October 16th.
That was a new announcement.
Yes.
Yeah. They just threw that into a sizzle reel, but that's a remaster of the PS1 Tales game.
They're going to be remastering all of them. So
they will be. Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be popping up like this because they're not going to do full like trailers for all of them, you know?
Right.
SnowRunner came out, shadow dropped. Fitness Boxing 3, Your Personal Trainer Nintendo Switch 2 edition coming July 16th. Who cares? Everbloom coming on spring 2027. This looks like a kind of a weird, cozy kind of game with a furry character. I don't know. And then Final Fantasy 14 online, early access in August. I mean, that's an existing game that's everywhere, so.
Yeah, they had already announced this for Switch 2 prior to the Direct, so this was not like a new announcement.
And now we're coming close to the end, and we got what I think a lot of people predicted,
a lot of people,
less like predicted and more like demanded.
Well, we got something like a lot of people have been wanting forever.
I was going to say, like, you could say it's a prediction, but it was more like a demand.
It was a demand. It was like, why wasn't this a thing?
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts series, the full collection of the 3 games, the ones that were previously released for cloud, coming on October 8th. You can buy them separately or you can buy them in a bundle all together. And there's a demo of the third one that is Shadow Drop.
The first 3. Kingdom Hearts was like a franchise that has always been on the periphery. Ever since it came out on the PS2, it was always one of those things like, oh, why isn't this on GameCube? Why isn't this? Because it just seems like it'd be perfect for a Nintendo audience.
Disney's a better fit for Nintendo than
Disney.
Sony.
Yeah, Disney is more family oriented. It's got the Disney IP attached to it. It would play really well on Nintendo platforms. And they only did like games for like the GBA, the DS, and the 3DS. And it's fine, okay, like on the PS2, I get it, not doing GameCube versions. GameCube didn't sell that well compared to the PS2. Sony was still like very much, we're like PlayStation loyalists as a publisher. They weren't publishing on other platforms.
Well, that was the first year they did publish on GameCube with Crystal Chronicles.
Yes. And it's interesting because as we get into this, I want to get into that some more. But it was always the history of Kingdom Hearts was like, okay, and then when the Wii came out and did successful, it's like, can we get Kingdom Hearts sports? No. Can we get Kingdom Hearts for like the Switch? No.
Well, no.
You get cloud versions.
Yeah, they gave cloud versions. One decent thing they are doing here is that if you did get the cloud versions, you can transfer your save over.
Yeah. So finally,
that's a good move there, Square. Like,
so finally, like the mainline Kingdom Hearts games are available on a Nintendo console for the first time.
Will be on October 8th, yeah.
Yeah, will be on so that's significant. And then like something even more significant happened after that.
This was probably the most mind-blowing moment for like watching reactions. This is the one that like, people freaked out about.
This is like 100% something I wasn't expecting. Nate the Hate did not leak this. This was out of left field because this is the kind of thing you never expect to show up at a Nintendo show.
Yeah. So what's really interesting here, we're talking about Kingdom Hearts 4, obviously, following up. This is going to be, and they also announced it's going to be at launch. So when the game comes, it's going to be day and date with the other versions, basically.
It's going to be day and date.
What's crazy about this is that Kingdom Hearts 4 was showing, I think they only had one trailer for it.
It was like
a long time ago.
It was like a teaser. It was like a proof of concept.
Wasn't it for like PS4 back then?
No, it's still, I think it was like for PS5.
It was a long time ago.
It was like around like the PS5's launch, I think. It was like 2020.
It might have been the same show they first showed Pragmata at or something, you know? It was a long time ago. And they didn't show shit for that game afterwards. And Kingdom Hearts 4 is one of those games like Silk Song, where it was like every show, everyone's like, Kingdom Hearts 4? Kingdom Hearts 4? Like you go on like the YouTube comments, Kingdom Hearts 4? Everybody wanted Kingdom Hearts 4. Like everybody's bringing it up. So in a sense, this game was predicted for this June, but not for Nintendo show. This was predicted for everything else but Nintendo show.
This was supposed to show up at State of Play or Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
Like, this was definitely not supposed to show up in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, and then it didn't show up at those, and all the Kingdom Hearts fans were heartbroken. And then they were watching the Nintendo Direct, and at this point they were a little excited about the versions coming to Switch 2, but it was less like excitement and more like finally.
And this is like significant too, because this is the first real trailer for this game. This is the first trailer that showcased gameplay that showcased like some of the story that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first actual trailer for the game, and it's at Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, so this was kind of like the mind-blowing announcement for this whole Direct.
And the reason I want to tie it back, because you brought up Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube. Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer at Nintendo Direct is the fruit of labor started by Satoru Iwata when Satoru Iwata became CEO of Nintendo a few years into the GameCube's life.
He worked on repairing relationships, yeah.
Yep. He made repairing Nintendo's relationships with third-party publishers like a priority, especially with Square. And, he worked hard to get Square on board. And that's why Crystal Chronicles for the GameCube was made, was because of Iwata. And now we see a Square that's returning to showing their full support to Nintendo platforms. And it kind of makes me think like that's Iwata's legacy right there.
Yeah. Not just Square. It's like there's a lot of companies that burned bridges with Nintendo because of the way Nintendo treated them going into the N64 generation. And once Iwata took over as president, that was like a big focus of his, was to try to repair those relationships. And he did it in just a ton of different ways, from just like reaching out to the publishers themselves with like partnering with them, like he partnered with Namco on a lot of projects that they co-developed with Nintendo.
Lending them Nintendo IP, like really like forward-thinking stuff. So it was really cool for like those, even like if you don't care about Kingdom Hearts as a game, I still think this was like a really cool announcement.
Which is where I fall. Somebody who doesn't care about Kingdom Hearts at all, it was still a cool announcement.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was the what the fuck a moment of the entire Direct.
Yeah. It was the like nobody was expecting this moment.
And that's because the next moment of the Direct would have been the biggest what the fuck moment, except it was leaked.
Except for leakers, goddamn leakers, ruining the excitement. Because the next one, they revealed that they are making a remake of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. They didn't show much of anything. They showed a render of Link.
Pissed off so many people.
It did.
It's an unfortunate situation because Nintendo didn't leak that this game was coming. Other people found out and leaked it.
Yeah,
and
other people.
If nobody knew about this, what they showed, that little bit they showed, would have been mind-blowing. And people go like, oh, I don't know about that. It's like, remember the Metroid Prime 4 reveal? That was just a logo. This is more than a logo.
Yeah, this is a logo. They showed the first render of Link in the new graphic style and everything. And it's like, I get it. I would have loved to see gameplay too. I'm not gonna like sit there in front like, no, that's enough. But it's kind of like, the
disappointment about this is because it leaked. That's why.
Yeah.
Like it's entirely based on the fact that
if it didn't look, if people didn't know this was happening at all the discussion would be like, oh, holy shit. Instead of like, oh yeah, but they should have showed gameplay. It's kind of like, okay, we get it. It's because you knew the game existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, we're the whole leaker culture. They kind of, in a way, poisoned the conversation around this game, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Before we get into kind of broader topics about the show, I do want to touch on 3 games, or 4 games kind of, I guess, that were shown exclusively at the Japanese version of the Nintendo Direct. Derby Stallion 2, coming September 24th. Who gives a shit? Earth Defense Forces 5, coming October 8th. I would have gladly taken that over some of the other games that were shown in this Direct. And Earth Defense Forces 6 was also teased, but there was no date given. And then they had a game called The Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, which is like a shmup bullet hell game with cute anime girls or something, and that's coming on September 10th. But those were the things that were exclusive to the Japanese Direct. None of them all that significant. Like I said, Earth Defense Forces would have been more welcome to me than some of the Pikuniku 2 or something. I would have preferred to have that.
To be honest, the Japanese exclusive games, they really do anything for me. Like, Earth Defense Force, looks fun.
That would have been nice if that was in a highlight reel, but it's probably not even going to come out in the US.
And the other one was like a horse jockey game, which those games, like, Japan loves those games, but those games obviously, are not suited for Western release.
Yeah, like I said,
because, nobody gives a crap about horse jockey games here.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Releasing a shogi or a mahjong game, nobody's gonna give a crap.
And then, like I said, they have that one kind of cute anime girl shmup bullet hell game, which definitely would have had an audience, but it wouldn't have made much of a difference at a Direct.
No.
But those were the things that were exclusive to the Japanese Direct. There were also a few things that were in kind of sizzle reels, but they were all shit we've already seen before. It was nothing new. Some stuff that's already out here that's coming out in Japan later. So I didn't bother writing all that down because I would have had to have translated all that shit. I'm like, no. On the broader theme, right off the bat, and I said this right when we finished the show, Capcom's the MVP of this show.
Yes, Capcom's the MVP. Again, Capcom and Square are the MVPs of Switch because they're putting everything on Switch. And day one, it's the kind of support that we hadn't seen from these companies in the past. They got better with it during the Switch era, especially Square was but even then, the big major AAA games are just not going to be on the Switch 1.
Yeah.
Like, but now we're seeing even those games, even like the marquee titles that these companies base their entire quarterly forecast on. Like Square's next forecast depends on how well Final Fantasy VII Revelations does. Those games are coming to Switch 2 day and date.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
we
it's a
said,
new
pretty
level
much
of support.
everything Capcom has coming out is day and date, you know?
Yes. So it really feels we're back to the NES, SNES era with Nintendo's relationships with third parties now.
What I said to somebody else, and I think it's like an interesting way to put it, is that Nintendo has never had third-party parity. And the reason I say never is because the idea of third-party parity and multiplats wasn't really a thing back when Nintendo was in the lead. When like the NES and SNES were out, if there was a game on two platforms, it was like a different game with the same name.
Technically, a lot of games were like basically the same on both platforms too. I feel like it's stuff like Earthworm Jim or the Acrobat. There were like differences, but basically, but yeah, like a lot of games were completely different. Konami was one of those companies that did that where they just made bespoke games for everything. Konami didn't do multiplats. Like the Castlevania game on the SNES and the Genesis are two different games.
But the way we think about multiplats now, that was not a thing then.
No.
It was less common than exclusives. Exclusives were more common than multiplats. So like Nintendo, like parity wasn't a thing that anybody talked about.
But Nintendo got the games from these companies,
They got the games, but like parity wasn't
like
a thing
Square,
that existed.
Square wasn't over here like, oh, we're going to make all of our games for Sega. None of our games are going to be on Nintendo. Nintendo is finally, they're getting the games from these companies again.
Yeah, and it's not just Square and Capcom. Like I said, it just feels there's been this weird sea change. And to me, like a lot of people were disappointed in this direct because they thought it was too third-party dominant.
The reason
I think the sea change is the story, and that was, I think, is significant.
The reason I single out Square and Capcom is because they're still
they
like
did the best.
Yeah, they did the best. There's still companies like Sega and Bandai Namco especially are like dragging their feet. Like Persona 4 Revival was not announced for Switch 2 and neither was Persona 6. And
yeah, I mean, we know those are pretty much coming. It's just they haven't been announced. Yeah, they are kind of being slow about it. But like I said, my overarching point though is that the point of this direct, the real message of this direct is the sea change.
Third parties are back. Third parties are back. And it's interesting to me.
And it's significant.
And I want to point out it's interesting because I'm seeing, especially younger Nintendo fans, really complaining about there weren't like enough first party games.
They didn't go through the shit that we went through.
There's like, there's too many third party games. This was like a partner direct. It's like, damn, I grew up with the NES and the SA. I grew up during the eras where you could count on third party. You could count on Final Fantasy being on the Nintendo. You could count.
Well, yeah, it was like the opposite. It was only on Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could count on that. That changed with the N64, and I think like Nintendo fans who grew up with the N64 and the GameCube and stuff, they're used to like the Nintendo games being the star of the show. Yeah. Where like when I was playing my Super NES or my NES, it wasn't just Mario and Zelda. Like, yeah, those were games I played. They were fun. I enjoyed the hell out of them, but it was also Mega Man and Castlevania and Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger. Those games were like all equal to me. So it wasn't like I was like just looking forward to like what Nintendo was putting out.
Yeah. And so that's like the point is that like, the sea change is the story of this direct, you know, and it's very significant. So when I hear people talk about how like, oh, the direct was disappointing because there wasn't that much first party stuff. It was a partner. First off, like just taking that into just taking like, oh, it's pretty much a partner direct. Take out every first party game. I still think this direct is killer.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think, you know,
to me, this was an A+ direct because it did two things for me. First off, it demonstrated that Nintendo does have a strong lineup of games for this year from a first party perspective. And second, it demonstrated that the Switch 2 does have strong third-party support, is going to be like a well-supported platform. This is not going to be Wii U 2.
Mm-hmm. That can all be summed up in one word. Confidence. That's what this direct gave us. This direct gave us confidence. That it's getting the fucking games, you know? We know it's getting the Nintendo games, and Nintendo's not going to go like, you know what? We're just not going to make games anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like this
isn't the Wii U.
You're getting all the Nintendo games. You don't need reassurance in your confidence that you're going to get Nintendo games. But what this direct did was give us confidence that we're getting every fucking thing, or almost every fucking thing. Yeah. And that is like like a massive, massive sea change from what we used to get as Nintendo fans, all the way from, like you said, the N64 generation until just now. Switch was like starting to kind of fix that, but the hardware was still too limited and it was causing issues. And now that's like, there's some of the games that got announced at this show coming to Switch. It's like, well, if that's coming, then I don't really see an excuse why anything can't come at this point.
Right, yeah, I saw some games here, and if the footage they were showing in the Direct was footage actually running on Switch 2, then that's insane. They're running at such a high fidelity. Yeah, it's crazy. What was shown, like Kingdom Hearts 4, if that's Switch 2 footage, like if they ran that same footage at the State of Play and said it was PS5, like I wouldn't have like batted an eye. I wouldn't have been called it out. I'm sure if you like pixel peeped it or whatever, like in a Digital Foundry, sure, but like that's running on a Switch 2, like holy shit, like yeah, I don't see like
Onimusha, Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
All of them. Lords of the Fallen 2, Lies of P, Devil May Cry 5, all of them. They
look great.
Fucking great, you know? Like, I can't look at them and go like, oh yeah, it's limited in this area or it's limited in that. Like you said,
it's not like The Witcher 3.
Zoomed in and slowed it down, then sure, but...
It's not like The Witcher 3 on Switch, which is like impressive, but like that is very much, very
first shot of the trailer for The Witcher 3 on Switch, you could like see the compromises. The
first shot of Witcher 3 on Switch is like, yeah, I'm never playing, it's cool, I'm never playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, they just need to make a Witcher 3 Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Or like some kind of an upgrade path to it because they got that Witcher 3 DLC coming out. So just fucking do it, CDPR. We know you're going to. Like, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they're going to. After the success they had with Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah. Like, absolutely. I think they will at some point.
Yeah. But that's, like I said, that's the story of this is the sea change for third party support. And if you don't get that, then, you know, maybe take a look at your age. And that might tell you why you don't get that. Cause I think anybody who is old enough and followed Nintendo for long enough knows like how significant the sea change is.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't anybody like, and I've seen some people my age that didn't think this Direct was that great, and I'm like, do you just have a bad memory?
Right? Yeah. You just like,
because this is significant, you know. This is like very telling in a way that like as the first Direct right after the system becomes 1 year old, this is like a massive boost in like consumer confidence in the product.
Yes. Yeah,
and that's exactly what this needed more than anything else. Anything else to say about the Nintendo Direct?
Nope. I'm going to give it a letter grade. I'm going to say this was an A.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like giving letter grades. This was an amazing Direct.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I watched the Switch 2 reveal Direct. I watched like reactions for that for months. After the Direct happened, I'd be like doing my workout and I just put on a reaction video of somebody reacting to it. And none of the stuff that's come out since then has been exciting enough to do that. And now I feel like I've already watched, 10 reaction videos for this. I love this Direct. This is a great Direct. I don't give grades for it, but like, yeah, definitely this is a great Direct. And my wallet is crying in pain in the fetal position on the floor right now because it knows what's coming. That's it for the Nintendo Direct, though. We have one more topic before we close out the show. This will be short, but very sad. And that is that we got news that Anthony Head passed away. Those who don't know him by that name probably know him as Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer or King Uther Pendragon from the Merlin TV series. He was also in Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. He played a popular character on Ted Lasso. I haven't watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Anthony Stewart Head was just an incredible talent.
He'll always be Giles to me.
Oh yeah, he'll always be Giles to me, for sure. That's like his most iconic role to me. It's sad.
It's particularly tragic because we've been losing a lot of people from that franchise in the last couple of years.
Yeah, because we just lost
Nicholas Brendon recently.
Yeah, recently. Before Michelle Trachtenberg, which is very tragic. Both of them died way too young.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle in particular was like younger than me.
Yeah. So. That was insane. So, it's another tragic loss for a Buffy family, but I'm wishing the best for his family.
Yeah.
For his daughters.
Wishing the best for his family, for the Head family, and also for all of his fans across the world who enjoyed his work. Thank you for everything you gave us, Anthony Head. Sad to see you go. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Next week, we are going to be discussing Spider Noir. It's an 8-episode series, stars Nicolas Cage, and it's in the Spider-Man universe. It's a multiverse Spider-Man story, and it's film noir, and you can watch it in color or black and white. That's what we're going to be discussing next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, you can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on Blue Sky. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetallscreen.blogspot.com. If you go to our website and open up a container store for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the relevant links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all that stuff's there, all of our social accounts, all of that. You can also subscribe to our podcast to your favorite podcast player of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of our podcasts, as well as additional content, is available on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. Until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.